If you know me, you know I can't pass up an opportunity to play a custom level in a Sonic game. So today, I'm gonna head on over onto a specific cyberspace portal, and we're gonna get started. This is actually something I've been following on Twitter for quite a while now, and I'm surprised that the first version of it is out. I'm pretty sure that there's supposed to be multiple levels in this series as well. And the reason I have some dramatic build up here today is because I wanted to talk about this awesome skin that I have. I have a dedicated video talking about the new Rio Sonic update, as well as another character that came along with that update, so I'm not going to get too in-depth about it, but long story short, I like Sonic Prime designs, and I'm happy that I get to show this off here in the open zone. But that is not the focus of today, specifically, because it would be this fella right here. Now, another thing I love about custom levels is that when you're just playing the regular game, it also overwrites the cyberspace portals, too. So when you go to visit one of these portals, you get met with new gameplay. It keeps the original gameplay loop intact, which I love. Bada bing. Welcome, ladies and gentleworms, to Sonic Colors, but actually Ultimate, also known as Sonic Frontiers, but with a different twist onto it. So yeah, here's something that I've been following for a little bit, as I've been saying. This is Gameland from just straight up Sonic Colors. And you know what? That isn't the only thing fitting this theme here today, because we also got turned into Gameland Sonic from the Sonic Simulator. Wow, even his antenna has like a little cyberspace glitchy effect on it when you move perspective. That's really cool. Of course, that isn't the only little thing he has. His eyes glow, even in the shadows. And of course, he's got his half-cybernetic body with his completely iron back quills and his like shackle-looking cuffs on his gloves and shoes, as opposed to just how Sonic usually is, all free like the wind. Now, the thing that I've absolutely adored about this level is that it is not a level import like you usually see when you have a familiar location put into Frontiers or Generations. No, this is completely original level design that just has the aesthetic of Sonic Colors, which I personally think is extremely fitting when you think about the fact that Sonic Simulator is essentially a computer program, and what is Cyberspace in Sonic Frontiers but a computer program? And it's especially fun, too, because the cyberspace enemies are all classic enemies, which is actually something that I think is pretty fitting for Gameland and just the 2D gameplay of the Boost games in general, because when I originally played Sonic Colors, I thought to myself, with all the 2D segments, I was like, wow, they're really just trying to reference the classic games with this one. That's a really on-the-nose, cool throwback. And then they did it again, and again, and again, and it got less novel as time went on, but knowing my personal history with this stuff, it makes me happy. It makes me happy to see the classic enemies here. I'm gonna take that upper path. That's the cool thing about this level. This is an entirely 2D level, but there are like a million different branching paths that I can try. And hey, the S-rank time is pretty strict too, so we're gonna go for that. I'm just so happy with how many different scenarios you can make up in Frontiers between skin mods and level mods. Like, I truly think that Gameland fits the aesthetic of Frontiers perfectly. Like, I could definitely see Gameland being a base theme in cyberspace, just as is. Especially since Eggman was pulled into cyberspace and they're kind of taking his ideas from him, right? I think to a degree it makes a lot of sense. It's just something about the visual language of Gameland that just especially makes me think of Sonic a lot more than Green Hill but glitchy did in Frontiers. That's not to say that I didn't like Frontiers for what it did. It's just that this one is definitely way more of its own thing, which is something that I think I inherently respect a bit more than just recycling assets from Generations. Go! I love that since this is a custom level, you can get really goofy with your object placement, and you can write out little messages like that for the player. Like, I think one of the loops even had the word cope written into it, which isn't a copium meme, but is actually just a reference to Sonic 1, where there's a random background detail that says cope on it. Oh my god, there's so many places- Whoa! I don't think I'm supposed to do that! There's so many places in this level that I just haven't seen. Now, I'm generally a believer of the fact that the 3D gameplay is much better than the 2D gameplay, and basically all of the Boost games, especially Frontiers, but like, I love the fact that fans are still willing to try to make their own entirely 2D levels in this gameplay style. I think it's cute that even though we criticize the fact that it's not as fun as 3D, people still have an interest in trying out level design for it. And to my knowledge, it's actually really difficult to make a 3D level transition into 2D with the current tools for the custom level editor, which is why we only have one level that really does that, because apparently you have to like low-key manually program the ability in because it changes the physics and stuff and the parameters are weird or whatever. I don't know, I briefly read about it. But that's why there's only one level that actually has 3D to 2D. And all other levels are basically just entirely 3D or entirely 2D. And considering that this is supposed to be somewhat of like a level pack, probably reusing multiple Gameland themes, I'm not actually upset about this being entirely 2D. It was probably one of the easier levels to complete because of it being 2D as well. One of the fun things that people forget about is that if you hold down, you just curl into a ball like the classic games. You don't have the best speed on it, so there's not really a whole lot of reason to do it, but you can do it. That's something that jump-scared me when I first figured it out. Also, I just love the imagery of, like, collectibles that you want to get that you can't get because they're in an unreachable place due to the nature of 2D perspectives. I just think it's neat. There's gotta be something new down here, right? Ooh, that's a loop I don't think I went on before. I also just love how blocky the level design can be. That's not something that you can really do if you're trying to be more immersive with the visuals. But in this, you can just lean into the geometric shapes completely. I love that when this area is shaded while he's doing the wall jumps, you can just see his eyes glowing. It's really cool. Ooh, that was a really cool spin dash cancel. I love that when you switch the perspective with the rail, you can kind of reveal other routes that you haven't went on, and it allows for more experimentation. Kinda like this. Right here we can skip a whole bunch more of the wall jumping if we take the correct route. What does this say? Kino. Okay, dude. Yes, colors really is Kino sometimes, but people don't want to admit it. Cope. That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. Wow, was that an intentional route? I don't know, but I used my stomp jump to get over here. I feel validated. I'm gonna take a fully top route and then a fully bottom route and see. Another thing that I really like about the Gameland visuals is that everything kind of looks like Lego. I don't know if anyone else ever got that vibe. It looks like a lot of building blocks in the background, and it looks like the surface of all the terrain would just be like a Lego texture similar to Knuckles' shoes or something. I don't know. That's just something I always thought about as a kid. I also like that they have these different colored platforms to show you, hey, yeah, these are fragile little mans that are gonna fall when you jump on them. But also to show you that it's like a completely alternative route than just the green and purple that you've regularly been following. Oh yeah, this is completely new. I haven't seen this at all yet. Oh yes, Lightspeed Dash! Pay him my taxes, saving me from not seeing a cool route. Ow. Oh god. I can save this. I can save this S rank. No way, no way, no way! Does that count? That was 50 milliseconds over. You've gotta be... Oh. One thing I do like about official Sonic level design is that if you go to the bottom route, they usually try to make it a little bit more difficult as a way to, like, make you go slower and inherently punish you. But I think on the first playthroughs, it's really fun to experiment with the bottom route because it doesn't feel like a punishment. It just kind of feels like, oh, you know, here's a harder part of the game. When you're trying to go fast, it is a bit annoying, but when it's your first playthrough, you don't really notice. Oh wow, they hit a ring all the way down here. That's kind of devious considering a lot of people are going to jump on that top flat. It's even got a custom icon on it. I love it when custom levels go that mile, to like have their own custom GUI as a part of the game. That's what makes it feel like actual DLC. That was a mistake on the Z-axis, okay. This video has really just been Sonic Prime x Sonic Frontiers x Sonic Colors x Sonic Frontiers. It's kind of like that inter-franchise crossover that I love the most when it comes to DLC content in the game. Like, the fact that there was a Shadow costume in Sonic Superstars is like the coolest thing to me. Yo, the dodge jump into the enemy to keep the combo going? That was kind of sick radical, huh? Oh wow. I'm going in between all these top and middle routes and I'm finding like new pathways that I wouldn't even expect. And I'm finding like bits of gameplay that I wouldn't even expect. Like this right here. I've been wondering how to get those rings. That one middle zone has so much choice for no reason. I'm really into it. Enough playing around, I'd say it's time that I get an S rank. I'm gonna try and do one without meg dashing though, to try and challenge myself even further. One of the cool things about these mods releasing, these mods released like days apart from each other. The Gameland Sonic is a part of the Rio Sonic mod, which released like 3 or 4 days ago, and then the actual Gameland level mod released like 2 days ago, and definitely not intentional. They're from completely different mod creators. But it's really funny how something like that works out. Yo, okay, that was awesome. I messed with the Z-axis and I surely would have died if I kept going at that direction, but then I thought to myself, oh my god, if I homing attack this enemy, it's gonna fix my access. And it did. And I didn't die by falling into a non-existent pit. Oh, I feel so proud of myself right now. And I remembered that you can stomp jump there, and then that should do it. That should be our S rank. I am taking the slower bottom route, but it's not gonna matter. Oh my god. Oh my god, this is cutting it close. Oh my god, that was way too close. I thought I got too cocky for a second, but I locked in last second, and I stayed quiet. Another thing I thought would be fun is also a part of the Rio Sonic mod. We have Silhouette Sonic, which I think fits this fantastical, nonsensical aesthetic of Gameland/Cyberspace to a T. I think this just sums up the fantastical elements of Sonic aesthetics so well. You have this purple geometrical world, basically birthed in cyberspace and capitalism so that Eggman can make a quick buck off of his nemesis. But then you also just have the Sonic 3 and Knuckles logo in playable form. Truthfully, I think that this Sonic fits on every cyberspace level, but I think he's especially fitting in a level that has just like one color throughout the entire theming. I think it makes him stand out super well. It's very pretty. Yo, dude, I love the bounce. I think it's one of the coolest abilities. My movement's kinda nasty right now. Yeah, get onto the pink platform. This upper path right here has gotta be my favorite gameplay-wise. Oh, it feels so good to spin dash through that segment, too. Yes, I meant to get that ring, yes. It's so fun to experiment with the middle routes and top routes in this level. I think the bottom routes are pretty weak and aren't really worth messing around with unless you're doing a red ring hunt. There's just so much fun potential with the moving platforms, and especially the pink platforms, the way that they fall when you touch them, and also the ones that like curve between the Z-axis. Definitely the most fun part about Sonic Forces and Sonic Frontiers styled boost levels is speedrunning through them, seeing how fast you can annihilate them, especially due to their size. And I think it's especially cool now that we have these custom levels that are so accessibly made in just a Blender add-on, by the way. Because people can make tiny levels that aren't quite on the same scale as Generations would expect you to be. And you can find all kinds of crazy tricks to get yourself a better time, just like that. And it's basically just as fun as the base game, except we just keep getting more and more and more. That felt especially slick, just playing as a little blue blob. But somehow the blue blob was recognizable as my favorite little creature. And that's the beauty of cyberspace, the nonsensical nature of it all. Abstract shapes and memories. And my favorite and personal memory is Knuckles the Echidna. I gotta say, one of the best fellows I've ever met in my life. Yep, we got Knuckles with us here today, ladies and germs. His color palette doesn't fit as well with the green, like Sonic's blue did, but regardless, I still get him. And the funny thing is about 2D is that his glide does not work too well in 2D. He has to, like, stop for a second. Now, aside from just showing off his silhouette, I also just wanted the challenge of using his slower moveset to try and get this S rank. But the cool thing is, just because he's slower doesn't mean he's necessarily worse, because he has something that Sonic doesn't, and it's his glide. And like I said, we can mess with the axis, and we can kind of break certain segments, but I'm not going to rely too heavily on it, because that would just get lame. Oh, the way that he just, like, super smoothly lands onto the side of that slope there, out of his glide position. Yo, that was just barely an S rank. Let's go, Nux! As always, the links to everything are down below. Shout out to Sock Tiger and David for the mods that I've been using here today, and Angry Zora as well for the Characters in Cyberspace mod. Something I've been saying in a lot of my recent videos is how much I love when you take existing assets from other games, and you make something completely original with it. We've seen that a few times in Frontiers with the Bridge Island levels, the Fallen Fleet level, stuff like that. So by reusing the assets, you make something that visually looks like something you would see in the franchise. By adding your own stuff onto it, it can be appreciated a lot more because people get something new. And I think out of all the custom levels I've played, this has got to be one of my favorite in Frontiers specifically, because Gameland is a genius theme for Frontiers and everything we know about it. Between lore, aesthetics, and of course, character skins. There's just so much potential to do mystical things, such as, you could feasibly have a pajama-wearing Knuckles in this stage and it doesn't look out of place, because it's a cybernetic realm based off of memories. It's like basically one step away from being a dream sequence, dude. So you can have all the fun of comic alternative skins and still have it fit the environment you're in. And especially like with all the colors and everything too in this level, I think it just fits this goofy outfit quite well. That being said, if you're new, please check out the modding playlist. I do this all the time, it's my bread and butter, but I love everything Sonic related. I'm going to be posting a lot of Sonic Shadow content when that game comes out, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching. I'll see you whenever the 6.5 hour project I recorded is finished editing.